Yeah, thank you, Craig. So sort of representing the APAC contingent here, I'm really happy to accept this award on behalf of myself and Jung Ho, but also Nicole, who I flicked through the different icons and saw that she's online as well, and also Chan sort of leading this study. And so in 2023, we participated in the SOS challenge, basically looking at whether fluoroquinolones, a type of antibiotics, are associated with the development of aortic aneurysms and aortic dissections. And so, for those that are unaware, fluoroquinolones are commonly prescribed broad-spectrum antibiotics. They're used to treat a variety of infections, including urinary tract infections, which is the, I guess, main sort of use that we looked at here. Post-marketing studies and different international regulators all over the world identified this rare risk of aortic aneurysms or dissections. The pharmacological mechanism of this sort of how these medicines cause these events isn't really well understood. And actually, the quality of evidence that underpin the association is quite moderate as well. And this is predominantly due to inconsistencies in study design and also, I guess, the conflicting results of multiple studies as well. But essentially, the regulators responded with black box warnings on these antibiotics and also making limitations to their prescribing. And just for those that are unaware as well, the aortic aneurysm is sort of when the aorta, so the major blood vessel that carries blood from the heart to the rest of the body, if it's an aneurysm, that's when it can bulge and that can actually rupture. Whereas a dissection is where it can tear and then sort of blood sort of, I guess, goes internally into the rest of the body, and both can have fatal outcomes for a patient. So quite distressing there. And so I guess our overarching question, does exposure to a fluoroquinolone increase the risk of experiencing aortic aneurysm or dissection within a year of starting the medicine? So essentially what we wanted to do was characterize the risk and also and do some estimation studies there as well. And so I guess overall, we wanted to know how many people experience aortic aneurysms or dissections within a year of starting treatment. And then we also wanted to look at the time to event distribution there as well. And for the estimation part, we wanted to know whether fluoroquinolones, exposure to fluoroquinolones increases the risk of experiencing those outcomes within 30, 60, 90, or a year essentially of initiating treatment. And the primary one time that we were looking at there was 60 days. And does exposure to fluoroquinolones have a different risk of experiencing these outcomes within those different time windows relative to other antibiotics there as well? And so our comparators were trimethoprim with or without sulfamethoxazole and also cefalexin there as well. And so we were guided by a bunch of really awesome tutorials throughout the SOS challenge there as well. And I sort of flipped Patrick's flowchart there or diagram to, I guess, emphasize our Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill to get through all the different diagnostics there. So yeah, we employed the OHDSI's different diagnostics to help us generate reliable results there too. Our results included our study included 13.5 million people, and we had 14 different databases from 5 different countries. And essentially what we found is fluoroquinolones are pretty much just as safe as trimethoprim or cefalexin in terms of this risk. And so people can safely take these medicines. They don't need to be concerned about the risk of aortic aneurysm or dissection, and that prescribers can essentially prescribe these medicines and not need to take into consideration the risk of this outcome when they're determining whether it's an appropriate antibiotic for their patient or not. They can make those decisions based on other factors. All the code is available on GitHub as well, and there's a shiny app of the results on data.odyssey.org as well. There's been a bunch of different presentations as well that have been delivered within OHDSI, but also other international conferences as well, such as ISPI. And we'll also be presenting the final results of the study at the APAC symposium. So looking forward to seeing quite a few of you there as well. And our primary publication there is under review in eClinical Medicine. So I guess just on behalf of Jung Ho and myself, I guess Nicole and Chan as well, super grateful for the opportunities that OHDSI has given us. It was my first major international study as well, actually probably my first international study at all. So yeah, really, really grateful for the opportunity to learn about, reliable and calibrated evidence as well. So thank you so much. And thanks, Sarah, for the photo of the koala.
Great. Thank you so much, Jack and Jung Ho. And congratulations again, and a serious thank you for waking up so early and nailing that presentation. I don't know if I could do that at 2:30 in the morning. So wonderful job, and it was great to have this SOS challenge and bring in new collaborators into the community. Speaking of new collaborators in the SOS challenge, Cindy Kai did a fantastic job. She also is one of our clinical applications honorees. Cindy, do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to go through?
I can share.
Okay.
All right, thanks everyone. Thank you so much I feel so honored to have been given a Titan Award. Here it is right here. And I guess I interpreted the presentation, the purpose of this a little bit differently from Jack, so less about the science and more about kind of me and my journey and how we got here. So I am a vitreoretinal surgeon by training, and I'm currently a clinician scientist at Hopkins with a joint appointment both in ophthalmology as well as biomedical informatics and data science division. And in terms of my OHDSI journey, I would say I sort of stumbled and fell into OHDSI. I was in the process of putting together my K grant looking at vision loss and diabetes. And one of the things that I wanted to do was develop models based on data from our electronic health records that also incorporate social determinants of health data to see if we can predict when patients with diabetes don't get eye care, and ultimately share this model across different institutions. So it was that last piece, trying to solve that last piece, that led me to Paul, who was like, oh, hey, I have a great solution for your problem. It's called the OMOP Common Data Model. And at the time, I was like, what is a common data model, much less what is the OMOP Common Data Model? So that started this whole journey of taking the classes, learning about OMOP, the OHDSI tools, and ultimately going to the global symposium where sort of the rest is history. And like Craig mentioned, I got this Titan Award for the work that we did in the SOS challenge, where we put forth this clinical question of whether the risk of kidney failure was different depending on the intravitreal anti-VEGF medications that we as retina specialists use. And as a community, we came together and worked on this question over the course of 9 weeks, like Jack showed earlier. And this was the slide that I showed in the last week of the SOS challenge presentations, mostly to illustrate that all this work that we do really takes a community. It takes an entire group of people working together to be able to pull off these network studies. And as a clinician, I'm probably all the way down here, this little piece of this much bigger picture. And I really rely on all the giants in the OHDSI community who have done a ton of work before me to pull this off. But hopefully, I think my role as the clinician is to act as a bridge to maybe put forth interesting clinical questions and also help interpret some of the potentially very complex results that we get from these OHDSI network studies for the clinical audience. And so we put together this project, and it was published in Ophthalmology Retina. And to highlight the importance of this, Ophthalmology Retina decided to accompany this paper with an editorial, which they don't usually do. Like in any given issue of Ophthalmology Retina, there might or might not be one editorial. So in this editorial, they highlight that our project has high clinical relevance and made a valuable contribution to literature. So I just want to say thanks again to the whole community of people who allowed me to do what we did for this SOS challenge. So this Titan Award really should be for everyone and not just me. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Cindy. And again, it is so great to have so many new collaborators who are making an immediate impact. It's a message that we try to drive home constantly. So it's great to see this. Okay, next up is two of our data standards honorees of Vlad Korsik and Oleg Zhuk.
Hello, and my name is Oleg, and I'm OHDSI Vocabulary's team lead. So I previously worked as OHDSI Vocabulary's tech lead, but I will take over the rest of responsibilities from Alexander Davydov. And I want to say thank you very much for this award. It really means a lot to me personally. It means a lot to the whole team. And I have a very small presentation here. So on the right side, you see our roadmap, and I want to highlight the whole way of the vocabulary team up to the specific point. So On the right side, you see the roadmap, and you know that now we have 2 releases every year, one February, one in August. But before that, we had 113 releases done by 33 contributors. And if you divide 113 by 2, you'll get almost 60 years of work. Of course, I'm exaggerating just a little bit, and not every release is the same. But what I want to show is that that's a lot of work. And who are we? So who are the vocabulary team? And this is a team over the years. We have many people worked in the team. So some of them are still active. Some are no longer active in the community or no longer active in the vocabulary team specifically. And we need to thank each of everyone on this slide for the vocabularies we use on a daily basis. But the question is, do we really need those people? I mean, there's so many people. Do we need them to map ICD to SNOMED? Is it really that hard? So the short answer is yes. The long answer, slightly longer answer is yes, of course. And the longest and the real answer is yes, we do need these people because we're constantly aiming at a moving target. So we could not release one final version of the vocabularies, and vocabularies change every month or so. Conventions change, and the whole world of medicine also changes every day, and we're just trying to bring everything together. And once again, aiming at a moving target. That's why I want to ask for help. So I want to use this opportunity and ask for more community contributions. We really, in the vocabulary team, we really love when you create issues and contribute, do contributions, simple and complex. I know that it may not always sound like this, but in reality, of course, we like all the issues on the GitHub. We like when you contribute, when you find some mapping, some discrepancies, and you know the way to fix it. That means that you're interested in our work, and that means a lot to us. So once again, please contribute to the vocabularies, join the team, and help us with the work. And then I want to add with some kind of a personal story. So one day I've been, after a long day of mapping and constructing all the relationships between vocabularies, I was in the night shift in the hospital, administering some drugs to the patient. And then I thought, oh my God, it should go to the drug exposure table. And then the whole day I've been thinking, okay, this procedure should go to procedure occurrence table. And it was kind of funny. But the real message here is that even though we work with numbers mostly, but we need to remember that behind every number there is a human being. And with our work, we already successfully contributing to the health of the people, contributing to the health of the population. And I'm happy that we can do so. So once again, thank you for the award, and I hope we'll work further. Thank you.
Great, thank you. The leadership really has been incredible. The vocabulary, the work with the roadmap and the updates over 2024, really incredible. You can learn about the roadmap for 2025. It's on the GitHub. It's in the R journey. A lot of places you can find. The work continues, obviously, and really empowers the research that happens in our community. So thank you to you and Anna and Vlad and Alexander and the entire vocabulary team for your work. Next up is Linying Zhang.
Hi, everyone. I'm very honored to receive the Titan Award for Methodology Research 2024, and really appreciate the opportunity and very excited to share with you my Odyssey journey. So my Odyssey journey started in 2018 when I joined Columbia DBMI as a PhD student. I joined a great team, worked with a great mentor, and we're all very committed to do good research to generate reliable real-world evidence. So this photo, I think, is a testify to that statement. It was back in January 2021. It was cold in New York City. The mask mandate was still on, but the group just couldn't resist the desire to meet in person and discuss research. So that was us at that time. So fast forward 5 years later, I did my dissertation in causal machine learning for real-world evidence generation, and part of that is to advance Odyssey methods. So this dissertation won the AMIA dissertation award this year, although it's an award for me, but I see this as a recognition of doing improving methods for making real-world impact, this recognition by a professional society. So I completed my PhD last year. I joined WashU as assistant professor. I'm still doing methods research, but also I spend more time building the local team, Odyssey team at WashU, and also help the Odyssey community in general. So back to my methods research journey. My methods focuses on developing causal machine learning models for reliable real-world evidence generation in healthcare. You can read my dissertation. It's really not that long. It's only a bit more than 100 pages, and it talks about all these things. But today, I want to share with you how this dissertation come together, right? This journey during my PhD. So as a methods researcher, or really a methods, someone wants to do methods research in their first year of their PhD. I dream very big. They were inspired by a work published in a statistical journal called the Deconfounder. It seems there's a promising way of estimating effects of multiple treatments in just one model, so a very efficient method. And not only that, but it seems by doing so, we can be more robust to unmeasured confounders. That's even better. So we did a study and published it, and seems the world is going in my dreamland. But I think that's also how your methods are probably ahead of the community too much, because all 3 reviewers just said accept, and no comments. And it was during that time I started learn more about methods, about study design, and define good phenotypes. And I think that's when I see some of the challenges in doing a study in this way is how to create a good study design, good phenotypes to really study multiple treatments in this setting. However, this work still inspired me to. So first, I took a step back. I started to study more down-to-earth approaches in the comparative study setting. Don't worry about multiple treatments. Let's look at how good are we at generating evidence in a comparative study setting. So I focus on large-scale propensity score, but the deconfounder work still inspired me to leveraging the dependencies of large-scale covariates and how that can help us be more robust to unmeasured confounder. And that is the theory behind OSPS, and that's the method we use in PLE studies in the Odyssey community. And since then, I also explored other ways that causality can help with real-world evidence generation, like in health equity research. How can we assess treatment allocation equity from a causal perspective, and how can we use causal mediation analysis? And how can double machine learning help us to handle high-dimensional mediators for explaining treatment allocation disparities? And some of those are still ongoing work. So that's my journey with Odyssey, and also now with my local team and lab members at WashU. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Linying. Linying also, besides doing the tutorial, also was the moderator for our lightning talks during the Global Symposium. So she is really continuing to be a great collaborator in our community. Okay, next up is the award for community leadership, and that goes to Clair Blacketer, who of course is driving the Odyssey Evidence Network. Clair.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, so like everybody else has kind of said, I'm very honored to be amongst this group of Titan Award winners this year. So I thought, thinking about the community and where I've come in Odyssey, I would just give you a little overview of kind of my journey in Odyssey. So in 2015, I actually attended my first Odyssey conference. This was me. Also, I don't take any of these photos, so a big thank you to Erica Voss, who always takes them and sends them to me, because I do not. So this is my first poster at Odyssey. I was very excited back in Bethesda, and I thought it was super cool, because I think the next day we went to the National Library of Medicine, and I was just blown away, and I was very, very excited. So then in 2016, I started in the CDM working group. I started more as I would say, project manager, working with Christian Reich, but it was really the beginning of me becoming the CDM work group lead. And through that process over the next few years, we began by creating our wiki, if you guys remember that. And then we started writing out some of the themes conventions, which Melanie has done a really great job of making look much better. And then we ended over the course of those few years with a few more versions of the common data model and our wonderful website that you see now that I hope many people use. So then in 2019, like right around the time that Eden was initiated, we realized as a community we needed a better way to assess data quality across the community and data quality at scale. So I helped to lead the development of the data quality dashboard. There was, of course, many people behind the scenes actually helping to make it function and to provide support and help us determine the way that this would work. But I had the opportunity to present this on behalf of the team at the 2019 Odyssey Symposium. And I was very, very nervous. The night before, I was actually practicing what I was going to say in my hotel room, and I guess I was too loud because someone actually called me and said, "I'm sure your presentation is very important, but I have an early flight. Please be quiet." And I was quite mortified. So then in 2020, I was honored by the Titan Award for Data Standards, but this was really a reflection of all the work that the CDM working group has done over the years, and really how far we had come in understanding how to manage a large open source data model for a growing international community. And so then a couple other things over the next few years. In 2021, we released CDM version 5.4, and we developed our CDM refresh process. On the heels of some missteps, we realized that as our community grows, we need to do a better job of really understanding the needs of everyone involved as we look to release new versions of the CDM. And so this is our beautiful CDM version 5.4, the one we're currently on. So this was a product of a challenge we did to create a new entity relationship diagram, and Martijn and Renske did a beautiful job here, though there are many other entries that were very, very cool, and I learned a lot about different ways to represent entity relationships. So then in 2023, a couple other people had talked about it, but in, we had the SOS challenge, and I helped to lead the development of what we call data diagnostics. And that really became the basis of our evidence network pilot, where we, as part of the SOS challenge, we had a group of over 30 data partners that were contributing data and evidence to the different studies in the SOS challenge. And then I had the opportunity to present this at the 2023 Odyssey Symposium as part of the State of the Community address. And then in 2024, I co-led the April Olympians event with Melanie Filofsky, where between us and our other leads, Evanette Burrows, Katie Sadowski, and Maxime Moynat, we were able to pull together all those different conventions from around the Odyssey community for how we assume people are mapping their data to the CDM, and we're able to codify them and put them in a really nice website that makes it much easier to get your questions answered. So big thank you to Melanie and the group for that. And then I'm also co-leading alongside Paul Naji, our full evidence network initiative now. Like I think we've talked about, we learned a lot from our pilot in the SOS challenge, and we are now moving forward together to identify data partners around the community and connect people who need data with people who have it. So that is going very well. And if you are at all interested, we are here for you. And we are moving forward, and it's been really fun. So that's about it. Pretty short. I just wanted to say, thank you. And I've been around the community for a little bit, as you can see, but I found it very very rewarding, and I love being here and learning from everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Claire. We certainly love having you here and all of your leadership and all the amazing work you've done over the years. Okay, next up is our Titan Award for Community Collaboration, and that is going to go to Max. And Max, frankly, I don't want to screw up your last name, so I'm just going to let you pronounce it and introduce yourself. So go ahead, Max.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Craig. My name is Max. My official name is Natthawut Adulyannukosol. So that's, typical Thai name. Thai people usually have long names. But anyway, I'm honored to receive the recognition for the community collaboration. And as the name suggests, I didn't get to this point by myself alone. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank the incredible teams that I have been working with on my journey to promote OHDSI community back in Thailand and in the APAC community. So our team at the hospital, Srirat Hospital, at Mahidol University in Thailand, we found OHDSI community and OMOP CDM back around 2020 during the COVID time, and we learned a lot from the community, and we see that the benefits of using OMOP CDM and all the tools that all the Titans and everyone has contributed to the community will be beneficial for other medical school in Thailand. So we got to organize several workshops and meetings together to help folks in Thailand know more about the OHDSI work and OMOP CDM. I will thank my team shown in the photos here, and our director, Dr. Prapat Suryapon, and Dr. Watanan Makarasan, who lead the effort in hosting workshops. And I also would like to give a special shout out to Mui, Sarah, and Song, who flew all the way to Thailand and help us spread the word. We are currently working on several research projects together, and I'm excited to see more evidence from Thailand soon. Also, my team and I joined the APAC effort in running a successful community-wide ETL tutorial project. So we got data from Singapore from morning, and we run the ETL together, and we will gonna share our success stories at the OHDSI APAC Symposium in December next month in Singapore. And I have to massively thank my partner Bun Seng Lim from Malaysia, the data analysis team, and definitely Song, who ran the show. Right now, I am in the US and doing research at UNC Chapel Hill. We are developing some visual analytics tools for supporting reliable evidence generation and tackling bias in AI models. So hopefully you get to do a lot more collaboration with our research partners. Here, I would like to thank the group leader, Professor David Gotts, and our supporting teams, our research teams. Overall, I very much appreciate all the contributions from everyone in the communities, and to raise us further and further in the journey, like we are standing on the shoulders of hundreds of giants, if not thousands. So, but I still feel humbled, and of course, I am determined to contribute more to the community in any way that I can. And thank you again, and I hope to see you all around and work together. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Max. A reminder, as he mentioned, the APAC Symposium, December 4th through 8th in Singapore. All of the information is on the OHDSI website. So congratulations again, Max. Okay, next up we have co-winners for the Titan Award for Community Support. So we are going to start in Europe with Montse Camprubí.
Good. So again, I won't be very original by saying that this is an honor to receiving this Titan Award. So I'm here as I'm the community manager of the Eden project. And Eden is a project that was created within the Innovative Medicines Initiatives of the European Commission. And it has a mission to provide a new paradigm in the health research by the creation of a federated network of data sources who would have their data mapped to the OMOP data model. So the original consortium was composed by 25 partners from universities, SMEs, and FPA companies, so pharma companies, led by Erasmus Medical Center on the academic side and by Janssen on the private side. So within this aspiration, we launched a call process to fund data partners and certify SMEs who could be trained and guarantee that mapping. And as a result, we have a network of SMEs composed of 64 SMEs across 22 countries in Europe who have been working with our data partners to map their data to mobile. So you have the full list of these SMEs in the link that you see here on top, but you can also have the full logos displayed on this slide. And next to that, our community of data partners. So we launched 7 open calls, which resulted in almost 200 data partners receiving funding to transform their data to OMOP. But an important note here is that we received above 500 applications across the 7 calls, which is a proof of the high interest that OMOP has in Europe. And as a result, we have an Eden portal with over 300 million anonymous records in OMOP. And the impact that Eden has for our data partners goes beyond, as we can see that several of our Eden data partners has also become Darwin data partners. And in addition to that, the rapid increase in the number of data partners led very quickly to the creation of national OHDSI national nodes in Europe. And currently we have 14 national nodes across Europe. And the work of Eden is currently transitioning to the Eden Foundation, and we already have the engagement of many data partners, SMEs, and also being contacted by several entities. So this was a quick overview of Eden and my work as a community manager, but you can have all the details around Eden by downloading the booklet that we recently created. You can either scan this QR code or download through connecting to our website. And I can only say that I'm really proud of being the community manager of Eden, of having been connected with so many institutions and so many individuals through this community and being part of it. So thanks also for the opportunity to join this call.
Great. Thank you, Montse. And that book really was a terrific book. So please, if you're interested in the great work Eden did, you can scan that. I'll get the slides from everybody afterwards, and then you'll be able to scan that. All right, our other Titan Award winner for community support, a familiar face to everybody, Elisse Katzman.
Am I really, Craig? So I obviously have no science to share with you guys, so Craig wouldn't let me out of this. So all I'm going to do is read about how I got to OHDSI. So I'm going to talk about me. I'm going to just pull up what I wrote, because I wrote something. Okay. So how in the world did I wind up here? You all may be asking yourself that question. So back in the early 90s, we didn't have an Indeed.com. We didn't have LinkedIn to find jobs. We had a nice big newspaper, and we would circle ads. Well, I circled a job ad for a sales associate at the renowned Plaza Hotel in New York City. When I went to interview, it turned out that the sales associate job was really for the cashier in the gift shop. and the HR person tried to sell me on the fact that I would meet celebrities. After explaining to her that I didn't go to college for 4 years and obtain a business degree to be a cashier, it was then that she turned around and offered me to interview for a position called Conference Services Assistant. And that is when my career started. I spent almost 20 years in the hospitality industry. I left the Plaza when I was after 2 years and landed a job at the Waldorf Astoria as a convention manager. And just to give some perspective on how large these hotels were, back then the Plaza had 900 guest rooms and 30,000 square feet of meeting space with a ballroom that held over 600 people. And the Waldorf had more than 1,400 guest rooms and 50,000 square feet of meeting space with a ballroom that held over 1,500 people. The events held at both these hotels were some of the most famous in the world. When I started at the Waldorf, I was 25 years old. It was 1992. You can do the math and see how old I am now. I faced many obstacles and learned how to deal with unions, no training programs, and an environment that was basically sink or swim. So I realized I had to learn to swim fast. I handled many of the largest events at this hotel, including some heads of state visits, such as the South Korean mission during the United States General Assembly Week. The Waldorf was the official hotel where the president stayed and where we installed telephone lines that rang directly to the White House. I spent 6 years there and then returned to the Plaza Hotel as the assistant director of conference services and then promoted to director 2 years later. After 7 years at the Plaza, we found out that the hotel was sold. Many New Yorkers will remember that, and it wasn't even for sale. An offer was made to turn this hotel into condos, and the owners could not refuse. Many folks who worked there for a lifetime were suddenly out of jobs within a few months. The hotel unions placed union folks at other hotels, managers jumped ship, and my department was one of the last ones, severance, to stay there to help close the hotel. Without many managers, without chefs, without food, without wine, and without many other things, we still managed to create memorable experiences for the last events that took place at the Plaza. But there were many weeping brides who spent a lifetime dreaming of their Plaza weddings, who suddenly found their weddings being placed at the Marriott. No offense to Marriott. After I helped to close this historical hotel in 2005, I jumped to the other side and decided to freelance for a while with the expectation that if I could not make a career as an event planner, I could always return to the hotel industry. Well, that did not happen. I spent many years as a freelancer working on 5,000-person conventions in Las Vegas and worked for such companies as Computer Associates, where I led the housing team and handled over 50 room blocks, including international ones. I also handled the food and beverage for Vegas conventions, where we had a budget of $3.5 million just on food. In addition to these large events, I also worked on many others, one being for the Department of Education, where we spent 2 years organizing the logistics for training thousands of teachers on universal pre-K. We held 7 consecutive programs at both Queens and Brooklyn College for 2 years, which was intense and very successful. Through the years, as these events got canceled or were completed, I continued to search for freelance work. And in 2016, I answered an ad posted by Columbia for an assistant to the program manager of OHDSI. This is when I met Maura Beaton, and after the interview, she realized she didn't need an assistant, she needed an event planner. Over the years, and especially when the community came together to work on COVID, I watched researchers from around the world work 24/7 together, and I felt proud to be a part of this community, if only to observe the work, even though, of course, I didn't understand it. But just as Patrick is able to make me cry at his symposium closings and not understanding why I'm crying, I realized the power of OHDSI. It is now 8 years later, and when I describe to others what I do and that I'm a symposium event planner and also the Microsoft Teams manager, which was a result of COVID, The most important thing I tell people is that I work with the most talented, compassionate, intelligent, and kind people in the world, and I'm extremely grateful to be a part of it, even in this capacity. And I am very honored to have been recognized for this Titan Award to support this community. The end.
Thank you, Elisse. And I mean, certainly just amazing what Elisse does. I've had a kind of inside look at her handling everything in the lead up to the symposium, and it really is just Patrick and I just sit back and smile. It's incredible. So thank you to Elisse. So as we go, I realized during this call that I had Martin Lavallee's wrong email address. So I've been messaging him back and forth. He is here. And I just said, hey, you want to present? And he said, sure. So with no preparation or advance notice, I'm going to turn it over to our Titan Award winner for open source development, and that is Martin Lavallee.
Thanks, Craig. I'll take the blame for that because I forgot that I had an Odyssey email. So, and I didn't respond. But yeah, it got resolved. But yeah, thank you so much. I was very honored to be recognized by my peers, to receive the reward and be recognized for my work in open source contribution. Primarily the Caper R package that I developed back in 2019, 2020. So like others, I'm going to tell a little bit about my journey. So I got started back in 2018. I was a contractor for Bayer Pharmaceutical, and they were getting involved in Odyssey and OMOP, and they said, figure it out. And that's where it all started. Was lucky enough to go to 2018 Odyssey Symposium, and heard Patrick speak and listened to some of the presentations, the scientific presentations, and I was just like really in awe of like how cool this was and how rigorous everything was done. And that always stuck with me and kind of like continued with it. So after that, I was lucky enough. I did my doctorate in biostat, and while I was doing my doctorate, I got a part-time job with Lee Evans. I'll forever be thankful for him for offering me this part-time job. And that's where I developed this R package called Caper. So the idea of Caper is it helps you create cohort definitions in R, analogous to those that you create in Atlas. And it's been very cool to see that package kind of take a life of its own. I didn't know that there was a Caper training that took place at the Odyssey Europe Symposium. And I was just like, that was so cool that you make a piece of open source software and people take it and use it how they see fit and have been able to leverage it for their studies. And that's a really cool aspect about this open science community. So since then, it's been really cool to see Odyssey grow. And after I finished my doctorate, I was able to start pursuing. Odyssey was no longer just a project of here, figure it out. It's now a career. I do Odyssey studies as a career, and that's testament to just sticking around with the community. So I guess something I want to say to those who are newer to the community is really get involved, buy into this. If there's something that you kind of believe in with this community and you just see cool stuff, really just get involved and you'll get something out of it. Especially programmers, join the Chiron cohort. It's a great program to learn how the Odyssey software works. Get involved, learning how to write unit tests and documentation, and just reading source code so you understand how all this code works. That's, I guess the other thing from like a software perspective, something I really like about OMOP and Odyssey is it's just a stable target. You write code once and use it many times. And that's what allows for constructing experiments at scale. So being able to do these things, network studies, and generating evidence from all sorts of populations, and that's not possible without like the OMOP CDM. So being a part of this open software construct and understanding how all that works it's really cool that you can generate these types of things at scale, and you don't have to pay millions of dollars for a license to generate evidence on one US claims database. This community is so democratic. It was really cool to see the projects from the University of Minnesota, Minnesota State, the consortium of EHRs, the Veterans Administration, and seeing CDMs come out of Africa. You can't do that type of stuff with licenses, and being able to use open source tools to generate evidence is very democratic on the CDM. So, all right, that's my on a whim spiel, and thank you for nominating me for a Titan Award. Thanks, Greg.
Great. Thank you, Martin, and it's a brilliant job doing that on the fly. Literally, we were just messaging back and forth like 20 minutes ago to do this. So thank you again to everybody. A reminder, 72 individuals or teams were nominated. This is like anything else in Odyssey, an open and transparent process. So to all the Titan nominees, congratulations. Thank you again, and congratulations to Jack and Cindy and Vlad and Oleg and Alexander and Anna, and Linying and Claire and Max and Montse and Elisse and Martin for your work this year and for these well-deserved honors. These people will now be determining the 2025 Titan Award winners, so be nice to them if you want to be doing this call next year. Thank you again to everybody in the community. Thanks for joining today. I hope you have a great day. Have a great week. We will see you next week for our session on the next steps in evidence dissemination. Have a great day. Have a great week. Go back to sleep, Jack. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.